Brunson Brothers Media Group.
Brunson Brothers Media Group.
Yes.
What does that mean? Tell me what
We're
that
doing
means.
a documentary on the oath of office.
Ah, interesting. We're doing a reality show in my career.
Really?
Yeah, I'm the
That's
Libertarian vice presidential candidate, be the presidential candidate in 2012, and hope to be the Ross Perot of 2012.
Well, that's fantastic.
The third-party guy.
Hey, could you tell our viewers what the oath of office is?
What the oath of office is? Well,
what it is?
In my opinion, it should be citizen politicians who put their hand on the Bible. And as my hero Barry Goldwater once said, their very first act upon taking the oath is to agree to give the power back to the people. That's what I believe the oath is. I believe it should be a man who follows the Constitution. That's what the oath should be all about. But unfortunately, nobody knows the Constitution is anymore. This entire country is filled with politicians who couldn't care less about the Constitution, especially Democrats, but a lot of Republicans too. And that's why I left the Republican Party and became a libertarian and wound up with the vice presidential nomination.
Well, that sounds exciting. You know, I've found that many people don't even know there is an oath of office. Could you just tell them what's contained in the oath briefly? You just mentioned a little bit of it. It's an affirmation, or it's...
I've never been in office, to be honest with you, so I don't even know what the oath says, to be honest with you. All I know is my oath would say I'm here to give the power back to the people. Okay. That's what Barry Goldwater once said, who I think this would be a great country if Barry had been elected president in 1964. If we listen to what he said, this would be a much better country. Everything he ever said came true. Every mistake, every problem, all the overspending, size of government, all came true. And he's the guy who said, we got to get citizen politicians who give the power back to the people. And that's what the Constitution says, and that's what the oath should say.
It does.
It says
You're absolutely
belongs to the people, not to the politicians. And the power belongs to the states, not to the federal government. Is that close enough?
Oh, absolutely. It's an affirmation or swearing that they will support and preserve and protect the
Constitution of the United States.
How about that? How many politicians in Washington do you think keep their oath?
None. You know what the difference is between Vegas and Washington, D.C.? In Vegas, the drunks gamble with their own money.
Okay, a quick question about the Federal Reserve. Is it a private corporation or is it part of the government?
It's unfortunately a quasi-private organization. It's the worst of all terrible worlds. It's both public and private, and nobody has a right to know what's going on. It's horrible. But they make a profit at our expense.
Okay, when they...
I know that. Now, did you?
Fantastic. When they create $1 trillion...
Paul, guys, I know these things.
Well, tell these people, when they create $1 trillion out of thin air and loan it to us as citizens, what happens when we pay it back? Where does it go?
Well, first of all, when they create $1 trillion out of thin air, what happens is called bankruptcy. It's called insolvency. It's called the state of California. The whole country is going to become California or Greece. So that's kind of what happens when you make $1 trillion out of thin air. And unfortunately, in the last couple of years, they've made $2 trillion out of thin air, and that's the problem.
But at least it should go back to the Treasury and not to these private corporate people, right?
Correct. They make a profit. They make an obscene profit, and that's the problem. The Fed has not got our best interests in mind. They don't care about the citizens. They care about Wall Street, and there's your problem.
Well, if you become vice president, is there something you can do to get that money back?
Well, first of all, I have no interest in becoming vice president. I'd like to become president.
Oh, I thought you said vice president. I'm sorry.
Vice presidential nominee in 2008.
Oh, you were?
I plan to be the presidential nominee in 2000.
Oh, this is much better. So what can you do to get all the money back that has been stolen through taxes since 1913?
First of all, you got to audit the Fed. Second of all, I'd like to theoretically get rid of the Fed. They don't represent the American people, and they don't belong as the arbiter of how much money is created. They've done a terrible job. By the way, let me mention the fact. Since the Fed was created, we had the Great Depression. Since the Fed was created, we had the new Great Depression. What exactly has the Fed done for us?
Well, if we get rid of the Fed, well, we won't need the 16th Amendment, which is the income tax law, right?
If we get rid of the Fed, we go on the gold standard. That makes everything very simple. Money is not just fiat money anymore. It's backed by something of real value, gold.
And then this country would be borrowing it from itself, and then there would be no debt. If you borrow from yourself, you have no debt, correct?
Well, not only that. The reason the Fed comes into play is because politicians are thieves, and Obama's goal in life is to give out bribes called entitlements to as many people as he can. The Fed prints money that allows him to do that. The message is so simple. Politicians have all screwed up the message. It's smaller government, it's less spending, it's lower taxes, it's more power to the people, it's follow the Constitution, and it certainly isn't the right to health care. We don't want universal health care. We understand that the American government runs the post office, which is $220 billion in debt by the year 2020. And if you put the same people in charge of health care, it's the end of America and the bankruptcy of our economy. That's the message.